COVID really hit North America around late February, and I know we as an organization were taken back by how quickly it came on us, and the things that we had to do, the changes that we had to make to the way that we operated. Through the year, we got it under control, and there was some relaxation. Then it really sort of came back in the second and third waves. And it wasn't until the end of 2020 that we started to see vaccines come into the marketplace and for us to use.
I'll give a bit of context as to what the scientific community was doing in 2020, while many of us were dealing with how to work in these new conditions, and it was very challenging. On January 10th, 2020, before most of us in North America were even aware about COVID-19, it didn't even have its name yet, actually, at that time. Scientists in China had already shared the genetic sequence for the virus that causes COVID-19, January 10th, 2020. Just 5 days later, on January 15th, the NIH and Moderna already designed their mRNA vaccine based off that sequence, that blueprint that had been shared. And they already developed actually and designed their vaccine candidate. A few months later, by March 16th, they started phase 1 and 2 safety and efficacy trials. And you'll notice what they did is they did both phase 1 and 2 at the same time. Usually you do one after the other and it takes a lot longer. But because we were in a crisis, they did them in parallel. So they didn't skip any steps there. They did it in parallel so things could move faster. By July 14th, in the summer where most of us, were relaxing some of the lockdowns a bit and doing a little bit more things, scientists were publishing the first publications about the safety and effectiveness of that mRNA vaccine. A few weeks later, they started phase 3 trials. And by November of 2020, we knew the good news about the mRNA vaccine's efficacy. Authorizations went through in December in both Canada and the US, and the vaccination program started, and we all have experienced and been a part of the rest of it.
From what I understand, that's a very accelerated process in getting those vaccines approved and trials done. So is that really safe in the way that process worked?
As far as scientific research goes, that is a very fast timeline. But what's interesting is that they were able to still do all the usual steps that they would in the clinical trial process. They didn't skip any steps to get to that stage. They went through all of the same rigorous safety testing and quality testing, phase 1, 2, and 3 clinical trials before getting authorized. They just did them in parallel instead of one after the other. And of course, it helped that this was a priority for a lot of different countries and a lot of different scientists to work on. And so in this case, funding for this type of research wasn't an issue. And while tens of thousands of people were a part of those trials, now we've had over 2.5 billion doses of vaccines given out worldwide in just under a year and a half, which is quite an incredible and magnificent feat.
So we've established that we've done good trials and understand the makeup of the virus, so that we can manufacture the products. But do we truly know what that looks like and how that feels in the community? Surely we need a lot longer period of the vaccine program running, so we can see the consequences of some of the effects that might happen. How are we reassuring ourselves that that's a safe way of utilizing the vaccines?
For anyone who's concerned about potential long-term effects, things that may not creep up for a while after vaccination, there are 2 things that may reassure you. The first is that while using mRNA vaccines is newer, it's been studied in clinical trials for over 5 years, and there's been research leading up to this moment for several decades. So it's new to a lot of us, but it's not new to the scientific community. And it has actually been rigorously studied for extended periods of time, many, many years leading up to it. And adenovirus vaccines have been routinely used for many, many years. So those aren't new. But second, we've been giving out many types of vaccines for a long time. And what we know from all vaccines and these vaccines as well is that any rare and particularly more serious side effects or adverse events that happen following vaccination typically happen within a few days, weeks, or at most a few months following that vaccination. There's nothing that happens way after. It's kind of like if you had a beer today, you wouldn't expect to still feel the effects from that beer 2 months from now, because you know that your body clears it. Well, similarly with the vaccines, your body clears that blueprint, the set of instructions that we talked about in our previous video. Your body clears that in just a few days. The body is actually really good at degrading mRNA. It doesn't and mRNA is also a very fragile type of blueprint. It's like the thinnest piece of paper that you could ever write notes on, and it's gone within a day or two. Now, the actual spike protein, the set that those sets of instructions help our bodies make, that's gone for the most part in a few days and at most a few weeks. And so it's not having a long-lasting effect in the body. What the vaccine delivers to your body is degraded quite quickly, and it's only the immunity that is long-lasting. And so that's why we don't expect to, and there's not really a theoretical reason even, nor has there been any observations of long-term effects beyond that first month or two period post-vaccination. This is one of several videos in our COVID-19 and vaccines collaboration between me, Science Sam, and Graham Construction. If you want to check out those other videos, have a look through the YouTube playlist, and be sure to check the captions of each video for more information and resources where you can learn even more about the topics.